Okay, so the title of my presentation would be The Price of the Grave, the Aransel, and the Social Stratification in a Rural Bicol Town. So for this presentation, I focused on San Jose Camarines Sur in the year 1915. So let me start my presentation with this quote by Norbert Elias. The way in which people die is a reflection of the way in which they live. So, in the manner in which people die reflects the society in which they live, then the manner in which they are buried may reveal something about the social order they inhabited. So in San Jose Camarines Sur, the parish records of 1915 suggest that death was not an undifferentiated experience. So through the Aransel, which I will discuss later, the dead were classified into different funeral classes, each carrying different economic and ritual implications. So later, makikita nyo po na merong different classes ang na which in classify yung mga patay. So death, in other words, had a price, and that price was not the same for everyone. So, Diyos maray na aga po sa Indugabos. My name is Christine Joy Espedido, and this paper is actually a piece of my thesis. So, I chose 1915 because, as suggested by Sir Jai when we were talking, there was a good mix of rich and poor people, plus Espanol, mestizos, and native na namatay during that year. So first of all, I may be talking about the arancel a lot, so might as well define it. The arancel was a standardized parish tariff that regulated the fees for Catholic sacramental and burial services. While initially intended to regulate clerical finances and protect parishioners from excessive charges, it gradually developed into a system that differentiated the cost and solemnity of religious rites. So by 1915, yung system na to ay embedded na siya in parish administration with burial services in rural Bicol organized into district classes according to the level of ritual and corresponding fees. So, ayan. The main question of this presentation is what can the classification of deaths in the 1915 parish records of San Jose Camarines Sur tell us about social stratification in a rural Bicol community such as San Jose Camarines Sur? So ito yung supporting questions. How were deaths classified according to the Arancel? What was the distribution of deaths across the different classes? And what social distinctions are visible through these classifications? So, this paper argues that the 1915 death records of San Jose revealed that social stratification did not disappear at death, meaning death was not or was never a social equalizer. So, I came up with this framework called the hierarchy of the grave, stating that the grave was not socially neutral. The Arancel organized burials into levels of ritual and payment, creating a hierarchy that extended social distinctions into death. So it goes like this: yung social position, ma-identify yung class mo, and then dun ma-determine yung funeral expenditure, and dun din ma-classify yung ritual distinction mo. So ayan. I will also discuss the certain theoretical frameworks that I found in this study. Yung political economy of liturgical breath or the cantado versus rezado. When we say cantado, ibig sabihin the mass was sung or may kumakanta, ganyan. Pag rezado naman, it was prayed. It was a prayed liturgy. It was silent, stripped down processing of the death. Magkaiba siya sa kantado kasi yung kantado, meron siyang acoustic commodity, merong singing, merong bells, ganun. And the bureaucracy of spiritual insolvency, which was the Dios gratis. We will be seeing a lot of this later. And the spatial commodification of res, nicho versus sanja comun. Sa mga nakita ko sa archives, sa Naga, merong classification ang mga patay. Some were buried sa Peñafrancia Cemetery. Some were buried into what they called the cemetery for the poor. And so nakikita ko ay parang it was called the San Felipe Cemetery. Ayan. So, the 1951 Defunciones, as seen in the records of San Jose, sa buong 19, I mean, let's make that 1915. I'm sorry, typo. 1915. There were 188 records in the town of San Jose. So, tinali ko siya. Sa first class, isa lang. That was Don Domingo Monasterio. Sa second class, unfortunately, walang nalagay. Third class, there were six. Six also sa fourth class. Sa fifth class, 54, 20 sa sixth class, and 101 sa seventh class. So the distribution is not evenly spread across the seven categories, as we can see. It is heavily concentrated towards the lower end of the tariff hierarchy. Kaya siya tinawag na social pyramid. Kasi kung makikita nyo, parang pabuka siya into a pyramid. Kasi mas marami yung classified sa seventh class. So, ito yung nakita kong pagkakaiba-iba nila. So, sa first class, mayroong isa lang, and that was Don Domingo Monasterio. He was a Spanish peninsular. Native siya ng Vizcaya. And, wait, dito tayo. Ayan. Ayan. So, yung Primera, they paid 180 pesos for it. Ang social indicator niya ay dapat Spanish ka, Spanish native ka. And then, yung segunda naman, 100 pesos according to dun sa nakita ko from Naga. It was composed of the Principalia and the Chinese, usually landowners and the upper class. And the tercera, 60 pesos naman siya. The Principalia, usually landowners and the upper class as well. Pareho sila sa kwarta, which is 15 pesos. And then quinta, they were composed of the modest label, specific rural niche. And then the sexta, pareho lang din, but it was paid at a lower price. And septima naman, usually wala na talagang pinipay sa septima, pero merong piso for the sepulturero. It was composed mainly of the Indios and the pobres living in peripheral barrios. So ito hindi to sa San Jose. Sa Naga ito usually. Ayan. So maraming possible explanation that we can investigate from the archives kung bakit nag-fall sa lower funeral classes yung ibang um, mga patay, ganun. Yung some possible explanations were rural poverty, household income, yung agricultural economy, yung ability nila to pay, yung demographic composition nila, and infant mortality, differential across to access to parish services, social status, and etc. So, yung primera klase, it was reserved for high capital elites and Spanish peninsulares born in Spain, such as Don Domingo Monasterio from Vizcaya. So, the class required an astronomical fee of 180 pesos. So, kung makikita natin dito, try natin to basahin. Yan. Entierro Cantado de Primera Clase. So this was the first class. Yung binayaran niya dito, 27 pesos for the iglesia or the church, 13.50 pesos for the escriba, and then the seminary and the episcopals, 13.50 pesos then, paroko or the parish priest, 81 pesos, and the ministers, is that 45 pesos, and a total of 180 pesos. So, ayan. Ayan. Same. Ayan. So, since walang segunda, hindi natin siya makita sa 1815 records ng San Jose, let's go to the tercera klase. So, kung makikita natin sa tercera klase, it was also cantado de tercera klase. So, it was also a song burial. Okay, let's see. Ang binayaran niya naman dito ay 60 pesos. 12 pesos sa iglesia, sa scribe 6 pesos, sa seminary and episcopal pension 6 pesos, and for the paroko 36 pesos. Meron na siyang nicho dito nakalagay. So, ayan siya. Ayan. So, magkaiba po pala yung price if adult po yung namatay and iba din po yung price kapag child or infant yung namatay. So, the case of Soledad Relioso, um, she was only 4 years old when she died. So, ang binayaran niya, unlike sa adult na third class, is 60 pesos. Sa kanya naman, 40 pesos. 8 pesos sa church, 4 pesos sa scribe. Sa seminary and Episcopal pension, 4 pesos din. And sa parish priest, 24 pesos. Ayan. Sa fourth class, same lang sa adult. Actually, wala siyang set. Meron siyang base fee. Pero, ang nakita ko kasi sa archives, pwede kang mag-pay ng higher price if you want a grander ceremony or a grander mass for your dead. Ganun. So, dito naman, pareho lang din. 40 pesos siya. Sa child, ang pinay niya lang ay 8 pesos dito. Entierro de la Cuarta Clase. Yung iglesia, the church, piso lang. Escriba, 0.80. Seminary and Episcopal pension, 0.80. And the paroko, 4.80 pesos. Yan. Sa quinta klase, ang adult ay 10 pesos. So, dos sa church, piso sa scribe, piso din sa seminary, and 6 pesos for the paroko. Sa mga bata naman, ayan, pwedeng 6 pesos, pwedeng 10 pesos. So, feeling ko itong 10 pesos ay nagpay lang siya ng higher price. Saan siya nagkaiba? Ayan, nagpay lang siya ng higher price sa scribe, tsaka sa seminary and Episcopal pension. So, for the parvulo naman, for the sixth class, makikita natin dito sa sixth class, hindi na siya kantado. Entierro rezado de sexta clase. So, it was only prayed. Hindi na siya sung burial. Ang binayaran lang niya ay 3.50 pesos. So, ganyan lang yung, ayan. 0.70 lang sa iglesia, 0.35 sa scribe, 0.35 din sa seminary and Episcopal pension, and 2 pesos for the paroko. Sa mga bata naman, kung 3.50 yon, dito naman 2.50. Bumaba lang siya ng piso. So dito, the most interesting case was for the septima klase or the lowest class. Ayan. So wala siya, hindi siya sung, hindi rin siya prayed. Parang kung makikita natin, wala siyang masyadong ceremony. Deo gratis siya, meaning it was free. It was given for free. And ang binayaran niyang piso was only for the sepultado or for the cemetery. Para lang sa libing. Same siya for the adults and the children. Kung makikita natin dito sa case ni, ano to? Manasha, wala siya talagang binayaran at all. Siguro, baka hindi siya nilibing, ganyan, or wala siyang cemetery. Ganyan. So, ayan. To conclude, balikan natin yung first, the introduction. The way in which people die is a reflection on which they live. So the 1915 defunciones of San Jose demonstrate the usefulness of taking this proposition seriously. The parish did not merely record who died, it classified how they would be buried. The concentration of deaths in the lower funeral classes suggests that the social and economic inequalities of everyday life could extend into the ritual treatment of the dead. In this sense, the Aransal did not simply put a price on the burial, it transformed social differences into graded ritual categories. So, eventually, nabuwag din yung arancel and yung social classes na yon, it's no longer evident today. So, the arancel was shaped by institutions, economic realities, and administrative practices of its time. It is no longer alive in the same for today, and perhaps this is precisely why it is worth remembering. So the Aransel is not to pass judgment upon the church of the past, nor to suggest that the church of today is defined by the practices of another century. Rather, it allows us to understand how the church, like other institutions that I mentioned in that earlier, embedded within the society. Kailangan niya mag-adjust to external pressures. Ganon. So what interests me as a historian is not to ask whether the Aransel was simply good or bad, but to ask what did it reveal about the society in which it existed. So in San Jose Camarines Sur in 1915, the records show us that the burial was more than a conclusion to a person's life. It was also a moment in which the values, the resources niya, the way he or she lived, and social distinctions of that community became visible. And perhaps this is where history can speak meaningfully to the present. The disappearance of the Aranza reminds us that the institutions evolve. Practices that once seemed ordinary can eventually become historical artifacts, while the church continues to discern how best to serve its people in changing times. So I invite us to look carefully at the past, to understand it on its own terms, to recognize its complexities, and to appreciate how much our institutions and communities have changed. So the Aransel may no longer be alive, but the history it left behind still speaks. And perhaps our our work, the historian's task, is not to resurrect what has disappeared, but to listen carefully to what it traces and can still tell us about the people who once lived, worshipped, and were buried within it. Thank you very much.